Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. Today's video is actually one of my most requested videos I've gotten so far, and as you guys can tell by the title, it's my labor and delivery story. This is a story time, so grab your snacks, grab your blanket, grab whatever you need to get comfortable because my labor process was a long process. So yeah, just sit tight and I hope you guys enjoy this video. Okay, so I was originally supposed to give birth on January 2nd. That was my due date. But I want to say it was December 21st when everything started happening. So the night of December 21st, I was like really not feeling good because all you moms know that the last couple weeks of your pregnancy are hard. Like they're super hard. But yeah, I was not feeling good. I was just super tired. I just wanted to lay down. And then like I felt a contraction. And I was just like, oh, it's probably just a Braxton Hick. Braxton Hicks, for you guys that don't know, are like mock contractions basically. It's like where you feel a contraction or you think you feel a contraction, but it's actually like a false alarm. But yeah, I thought it was just a Braxton Hick, so I kind of ignored it. But then I got another one, I believe it was 7 minutes later. And I was kind of like, okay, this is kind of weird. Because I shouldn't be feeling this already because, you know, I was only 38 weeks and 3 days, I believe. I don't remember. But yeah, I was like, this is kind of weird. So then I was just kind of chilling, just kind of was like, okay, I'm just going to wait and see what happens. And then again, 8 minutes later, and I felt another one. I told my baby daddy because I was living with him at the time because we moved in together. And he was all like, oh, it's probably nothing, because I had false alarms throughout my whole pregnancy. Like there would be times where I went into labor and delivery emergency and it was a false alarm. So I was just like, oh, I'm not gonna get excited over nothing. So then another 7 minutes passed and another contraction happened. So then at this point I was like, okay, something's happening. So I kind of told him, I was like, babe, something's happening. Like, it's happening again after 7 or 8 minutes. And like, for it to be a real contraction, it has to happen like again. Like, I don't know how to explain it. Like, it has to happen 7 minutes, 7 minutes, 8 minutes, 7 minutes. Like, it has to be consistent. But we kind of got excited and we got our bags out. But I was like, I don't want to get too excited because it's going to be another false alarm. Like, I just know. So I kind of let them just happen for like, I want to say 2 hours, and then they started getting like 5 minutes apart. And the labor and delivery told me that once they get 5 minutes apart, that's when I should be worried. So I decided to call my mom because my mom knows a lot about like babies, labor and delivery because she had 4 kids herself. So I called her and she said, Stinks. Yeah, that's my nickname, Stinks. Don't clown on me for it, but she's like, Stinks, those are contractions. And then she's like, I'm on my way over. So then she came over, and by then I think my contractions were 4 minutes apart. So, and they kind of started to hurt a little more, so I was just kind of like, okay, I kind of wanted to go to the doctor just to like get checked out. So we went to the hospital and they checked me and they're like, well, you're only 2 centimeters dilated, and in order to be admitted, you have to be 5. So I was like, damn it, I knew it was a false alarm. So then all of us kind of got bummed out, but they did say that I was in the early stages of labor. When they told me that, I was kind of like, oh, okay, like this is gonna happen, this is gonna happen. So I decided to, they gave me a shot, and they sent me back home just so I can see what happened, how the night went. And the shot they gave me, I think it was morphine, and they said it was okay. My doctor approved it, so it wasn't harmful to the baby. But they sent me home, and I kid you not, the medicine knocked me out. Like, I remember that night, but I really like don't. But I have a weak system, so like if I get medicine, it hits me hard. Like, I'm not good with medicine. The next morning I woke up and I was like, oh, okay, they probably like left, because the doctors also told me that if you wake up tomorrow morning and they're not there, it's probably just a false alarm. But if they are there, then come back in. So I woke up in the morning. In the first hour, I was good. I was all like, no contractions, it was a false alarm. And then I started feeling them again, and I was like, oh crap, this is happening. But I didn't want to disappoint myself again and go to the hospital when I wasn't even dilated. So I was just like, okay, I'm just gonna chill. So all day I had contractions. I decided to like just walk around the house, walk up and down the stairs. I decided to take a hot bath because midday, I want to say, I felt some hard. And I was just getting really uncomfortable because at this point it was like almost 24 hours. So I was just kind of getting annoyed. I was getting really uncomfortable. And my mom came over again because it was gonna happen. Like, I was gonna give birth to a baby soon, or that's what I thought. And basically, she just took me to the store to get the things we needed just in case, like, it was time. And when I was walking around that store, I felt like I was dying. Like, the contractions were squeezing me tight, because when you have contractions, it's like the muscles in your stomach just like clench really hard, and like your stomach gets all tight and you can't breathe. So I was just like, Mom, we need to go. I was like, I don't know how much longer I can do this. So then we grabbed the stuff and we went back to the house, and I was jumping on a yoga ball. And ladies, if you are pregnant, a yoga ball helps so much. Just like focus your breath, like keep it on track, and then just bounce. I promise you that will help. That will help so, so much. Yeah, I was bouncing on the ball, and they were setting up the bassinet for me because that's what we went to the store. That was one of the things that we got. So my boyfriend and my mom were setting up the bassinet for me. Oh, also my brother was there. So they were all helping me, and by then I was like, okay, I am over this. These hurt. They were like 2 minutes apart by then, and I was like, I need to go to the hospital. So we said bye. They hoped that this time was the actual time because, like I said, I went to the hospital a lot of times. And yeah, we were on our way to the hospital. From where I lived to my hospital, it was about a 20 to 25-minute drive. So during the whole car ride, I just held on to the pillow and I was just like, okay, breathe, breathe, breathe. So I went back to labor and delivery, and I want to say it was like about 9 o'clock. It was about 9 o'clock on the 21st. Okay, so the first day I went actually was the 20th, and the second day I went was the night of the 21st. Okay, sorry about the confusion. But yeah, so I went in about 9 o'clock, and they checked me, and I was only at a 3. So what I mean by only at a 2 or 3 is like, okay, so your cervix has to be dilated to 10 centimeters to deliver a baby. And if you're only dilated to like 1, 2, 3, then you're not even like going. 5, 6, 7, 8, like all those numbers are active labor. So I was still not in active labor, but the contractions were hurting me so bad, and my heart pressure was actually going up. So they were like, okay, well, actually you have preeclampsia. So preeclampsia is like this sickness you can get during pregnancy that causes your blood pressure / heart pressure to go up a lot. So like, okay, so I think my blood pressure was like, I think it was 150/90 or something like that. It was super high. So they admitted me. They're like, okay, well, you're gonna have a baby. So I was like, that moment kind of felt surreal. I was just like, what? I'm gonna have a baby tonight? So I kind of started getting excited, and I was like, oh my gosh, I'm gonna have a baby. But then of course I was having contractions, so. But that moment was kind of like special to me just because then I kind of knew it was real. So then they admitted me to the actual labor and delivery, and they basically said, yeah, since it's your first baby, this can be a really long process, so just get comfortable, sit tight, and yeah, we'll check you, we'll get you started on your fluids and your medicine, and yeah. So I was just kind of like hanging out. I was, of course, still having contractions, so it wasn't like the best hangout session. But they came in and checked me again, and I was still at a 3. So I was progressing really slow. So they're like, okay, we think we're just going to break your water. So they said, after this bag of fluids is gone and this medicine is gone, we're going to come in and break your water. So I kind of was just like started bouncing on the ball to get myself dilated. I kind of just wanted to walk around the room just to like see if I could do anything to help myself. But of course, like, I think it was an hour or 2 later when they came in to break my water, and when my fluids and my medicine were gone, I was still at a 3. I was like barely 3.5. So they broke my water, and oof, all this gush of water came out. And while they were breaking my water, I guess my contractions were so hard that it was actually putting pressure on my baby's heart too. So what they had to do is they had to go in and put a needle in on her head, but they did it like really scary. Like a whole bunch of doctors came in and they're just like, lay back, and they put an oxygen mask on me, and I was so scared. Like my mom started crying, my baby daddy was really scared. Like it was a scary time, and they're like, okay, well, your contractions are putting pressure on the baby's heart. So this is actually the second time this has happened. So if you don't want to be asleep during an emergency C-section that you might need if this happens again, then we recommend you get the epidural. I was strongly not going to get the epidural. I was not for it. I wanted to do it naturally. I wanted to feel everything. So by that moment, I was kind of like, okay, yeah, let's do it. Just because I wanted to experience like this first moment, you know, like my very first baby. So after they broke my water, they said they were going to send the doctor that does the medicine. I don't know the exact name, but yeah, they said they were going to send the doctor that does the medicine in. And oof, that 30-minute period, I think it was, like, it was only 30 minutes, but on everything I love, I was dying. Ladies, contractions are probably the worst part that you're ever gonna feel. Contractions hurt so bad. I was grabbing onto my bed, I was screaming, I was crying, I was like, oh my gosh, make these stop. I was in so much pain. I was like, by then I was grateful I was getting the epidural. So they finally came in with the epidural, which felt like forever. And they gave me the epidural, and they were like, okay, press this button if you want to get more. And yeah, we're just going to wait for you to dilate. So they checked me again, and I think I was still a 3. And yeah, then they gave me the epidural, and I was kind of just, I was in a better mood just because I wasn't in pain actually. The epidural actually takes away all the pain. So if you're a mom that's like not for the pain and just wants to experience the birth but they don't want to experience the pain of it, then I recommend the epidural strongly because it helps so much. But we were just basically playing a waiting game just because I wasn't dilating. And by then my boyfriend's mom and his siblings got there, and my mom was there too. So we were just like watching TV, and I think it was already 12 in the morning, 12 or 1. They came super late just because I was admitted late. But yeah, it was pretty late, and like we just hung out for a couple hours. They checked me again. They said I was at a 4. So I was just like, ugh, this is taking forever. But I wasn't in pain, so like there's a plus to it. Yeah, we were just basically like, they went to Starbucks because the hospital I was at, there was a Starbucks downstairs. So yeah, they would just take trips to Starbucks to stay up. Some of them would sleep just to get rest, but I thank my baby daddy because he actually stayed up the whole time with me. I thank him so much just because he just wanted to make sure I was okay since that scary event happened. And I love you. But yeah, I decided around 5 a.m. that I was going to try to go to sleep because I was exhausted. I was like, I can't do this anymore. I was like, I'm tired. I don't want to stay awake and wait and wait and wait, and then nothing happened. So I fell asleep at 5. Then around 5:45, 5:50, I started kind of waking up because I could feel my contractions and the epidural wasn't working. So I was all like, okay, this is not right. So I told him, I was like, hey, I'm starting to feel my contractions and the epidural's not working. So they called for the nurse to come in, and she's like, usually when you can feel your contractions through the epidural, that means that you've progressed a lot. So remember, I was at a 4 just an hour ago. I literally slept for an hour and I progressed to a 9. So in that hour period, I went 5 centimeters. I honestly think that's crazy because I've never heard of any stories that progress that fast. Luckily for me, like my active labor was only like, I want to say 8 hours. So they're like, yeah, in the next hour, we want you to push and deliver her. So they were getting prepped, and yeah, it was time. So I believe I pushed for 30 minutes. And at 6:57 a.m., my baby girl came finally. I was so happy she came just because the moment you have a baby is so beautiful. Like, it's the most beautiful moment that any mom will experience. Like, everyone in the room is just so happy, and everyone's crying, or at least for me, everybody was crying. And she was put on my chest, and I met her for the very first time. I was crying so bad, and it was just the best day of my life by far. I'm so glad that nothing was wrong with her. The only thing that she did have was jaundice, and if you guys don't know what jaundice is like where the bilirubin in their blood is higher than usual. So her skin was a bit yellow and her eyes were yellow, but it was really nothing serious. But yeah, she was born on December 22nd. She was about, I want to say 10 or 11 days early. Whoever can do the math can help me out. But yeah, she was about 10 or 11 days early, but she was perfect. She was 6 pounds and 15 ounces. But I am so grateful that nothing was wrong with her. And I'm grateful that she's growing healthy every single day, because there's too many babies out here that are dying from SIDS or dying from abuse, and I'm just grateful for the little family that I have and that she's so healthy. So I hope you guys enjoyed this story time. This is a really emotional story time to me, just because it was my labor and delivery story, and I really hope this touches your heart like it touched my heart, because it was just so emotional. And of course I'll add pictures so you guys can see. Just the only thing is when I did take the pictures, I decided that I wanted to try to do my eyebrows while I was in labor and while the epidural was like at full pace. So yeah, it was amazing. But yeah, thank you guys so much for watching. Please like and subscribe, do whatever you need to do. But yeah, I hope to see you guys next week. Bye.